Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class for January 23rd, 2021. What we're going to do is we're going to do our moment of silence. Then we're going to do our Sabbath prayer, and then read some Psalms and go into current events. Okay, so that being said, oh Lord, we come before Thee at this time. We set this time apart at the beginning of the Sabbath day that You have given unto us for rest. We are thankful for the knowledge and the understanding that You have given us up until this point. Seek Thy face on the Sabbath, that You shower us with peace and enlightenment and a sense of togetherness and unity. O Lord, we seek Thine hand in the affairs of the world. We know and understand that what You have spoken in the past will surely come to pass. Turn not Thy face from us, but hearken unto this plea. Hearken, O Lord, and do. All praises unto You. Okay.
Hallelujah. Yes.
Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to read the Psalms. Okay. I'll read Psalm 25. It's a prayer for guidance and protection. This psalm is by David. Unto Thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. O my God, I trust in Thee. Let me not be ashamed. Let not mine enemies triumph over me. Yea, let none that wait on Thee be ashamed. Let them be ashamed which transgress without cause. Show me Thy ways, O Lord. Teach me Thy paths. Lead me in Thy truth, and teach me, for Thou art the God of my salvation.
Yes.
On Thee doeth I wait all the day. Remember, O Lord, Thy tender mercies and Thy loving kindness, for they have been ever of old. Remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions. According to the mercy, remember Thou me for the goodness' sake, O Lord. Good and upright is the Lord. Therefore will He teach sinners in the way. The meek will He guide in judgment, and the meek will He teach His way. All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth unto such as keep His covenant and His testimonies. For Thy name's sake, O Lord, pardon mine iniquities, for it is great. What man is he that fears the Lord? Him shall He teach in the way that he should choose. His soul shall dwell at ease, and his seed shall inherit the earth. The secret of the Lord is with them that fear Him, and He will show them His covenant. Mine eyes are ever toward the Lord, for He shall pluck my feet out of the net. Turn Thee unto me, and have mercy upon me, for I am desolate and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are enlarged. O bring Thou me out of my distress. Look upon mine affliction and my pain, and forgive all my sins. Consider my enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with a cruel hatred. O keep my soul and deliver me. Let me not be ashamed, for I put my trust in Thee. Let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait on Thee. Redeem Israel, O God, out of all his troubles. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that?
Yes.
No comments? Okay. I was reading right here on verse, we talked about this last night. Verse 7 says, remember not my sins of my youth, nor my transgressions, according to Thy mercy, remember Thou me for the goodness' sake, O Lord. Good and upright is the Lord, therefore will He teach sinners His way. Now, he was talking about how to get involved in shenanigans is not going to do you no good. He says, the meek, right? That's what, like he said about Moses. Moses was a meek man, or contrite spirit. He says, the meek will He guide in judgment. and the meek will he teach his way. See that? So
Mm-hmm.
that contrite spirit is the plumb line. He says,
Okay.
the meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way. All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth unto
Oh,
such as
yes.
keep his covenant and his testimony.
Yes.
It's a lot of going. It's a lot of goes with meekness, because if you meek,
Right.
it means that you watching what you say, watching when you speak, and the main thing is you got room in there to listen, to hear.
Okay.
So that's why it's so important to understand what's going on when he says meek and contrite spirit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
there's some.
Mhm. I read that one this morning. Matter of fact, I read it just about every morning.
Okay,
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it very interesting. And with my daughter, she used to say that one because out of all the ones, she felt as though, and most definitely was applicable. But I don't know, patience just I guess wasn't enough. That's all you got to wait. Just got to wait and be patient.
Oh, yes.
right. Ain't that some?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So, anybody got any current events?
As we were discussing earlier before we went live, is that how they are trying to entice us to get the vaccine. So you just have to stay alert. Um, they like Zaire said, they trying to say, okay, you're not going to get the next stimulus money unless you take the vaccine, or they're trying to give out cannabis to people to take the vaccine. So just stay alert, and don't fall for the okie doke.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else got anything else? Yeah, I got a couple of things. It's small videos, but all this I got a lot of stuff to do put out today, and it's all flowing together. So anything anyway, this right here is about the stimulus. So let me get it up right quick. Yeah, so it says third stimulus check details, payment size, new qualifications. When could it happen? It says more than half of the respondents in this recent survey, 53% have said that 600 second stimulus check aren't enough to last a full month, according to Bankrate. Bankrate and CNET share a parent company. So just for GP, those them bankers, them not the bankers. That's what that is. President Joe Biden agrees his 1.9 trillion stimulus package proposal includes a 1,400 third stimulus check, which would deliver a combined $2,000 maximum per person when you add the second and third checks together. Okay, so then it says, but more importantly for many, Biden's proposal would also expand certain qualifications for a third stimulus check, which could make millions of families either eligible for the first time or eligible to receive more money for dependents who were left out of the previous two rounds. And Biden vision doesn't provide all the final details on the third payment, but it's enough to start working out how much money households can expect. When the third check could come, when can the third check could come, and importantly, how the stimulus funds will be delivered. Tax season adds an extra wrinkle since the IRS orchestrates both stimulus check allotments and tax refunds and returns. Here's what we know so far about the third stimulus check, including how you can set up uh, during tax season, set yourself up during tax season to potentially get new funds faster. So then they go down and they started telling you about how I said we will be doing our committee work all next week. So that this I think Pelosi talking. House of Representatives, we will be doing our committee work all next week so that we are completely ready to go to the floor when we come back. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Thursday in the press conference. It isn't clear that this will be a sweeping stimulus package as suggested by Biden or a smaller piecemeal bill that focuses on the third stimulus check and the coronavirus vaccine distribution, as reported by Punchbowl News, a new outlet made of former political journalists who report on Capitol Hill activities. From what I got gathered yesterday, they back these Republicans back to the same old tricks. They're trying to hold up this Biden trying to get it out as fast as he can, but they're trying to hold it up like they did in with the second stimulus package. They don't want nothing to go smooth. Trying to keep it in limbo. So that goes back to what we watched last night by Michael Moore when he was saying how Shalom. So when he was saying how that he needed get rid of those people. That these same clowns that's doing this are the same ones that voted after the insurrection. They still voted against everything. They kept on the same path they was on. It wasn't that stuff that happened with the insurrection wasn't enough to turn them. They continue on the same road, and it's back up to their same tricks right now.
Right.
Is that something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm quite sure everybody on here waiting on that next stimulus check, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Okay. So right, what I'm getting ready to talk about now, I'll show you is this video by GL Euclid. Oh, let me go back. Yeah. So I thought it was kind of interesting. That's why I'm gonna play it about 5 minutes. The comment.
That was Roger and Zach. I want to be your man. Watching the impeachment proceedings is very difficult. It's very difficult to be admonished about the speed of an impeachment, to be admonished about the judiciousness of an impeachment by a group of men and women who impeached a man for getting a blowjob. We're going too fast. I'm pretty sure that an insurrection lasts a lot longer than a regular election. We are admonished by people who turn the other way, and there's this desire to have the sameness. They're comparing what they did right now in trying to overthrow the government with what Black Lives Matter did over the summer. Let's rehash this a bit. We Black people take to the streets when justice is denied. When Breonna Taylor was murdered in her bed, we watched George Floyd's life be snuffed out of him for 9 minutes, and all we're asking.
Yeah, I want to inject in there right quick. So, in the process of these videos, what I'm bouncing off of is what Michael Moore said yesterday about, these people see that where the world is headed is going back toward, we know that we the original man, we the original people, and they see where it's going, and so that's where all the drama coming in there. So especially this video and the next one, you'll see what I'm talking about, and they looking at it and they see what's happening. It's what happening before their face,
Right.
because they always been concerned about that because they know they're a copy. They're not the original. They know they're a copy, so they knew eventually the earth and everything, the way the Most High created everything, it always regenerates itself.
Right.
So that system he set in place is way stronger than anything they could do.
Oh yeah, and they know we waking up now. They know it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Asking for is our day in court, that they have justice,
that they get to go to a courtroom. You took to the streets right now and tried to overthrow the government when you went to court 64 times. Breonna Taylor did not get her day in court yet. She was denied a day in court. You've gone 64 times and still are not happy with the results. We are not the same. We are not the same. How many times how many police officers do we have in our ranks secretly subverting government? How many members of military do we have in our ranks secretly subverting government? How many times at Black Lives Matter, how many members of them have been put on no-fly lists because they're a danger to the country? This didn't just happen in a vacuum. This man has stoked this kind of vitriol and anger and hatred since he's been here. We might recall when there was a man sending bombs to people because he thought Donald Trump wanted him to. A man went to a pizza place because he believed they were holding, it was a pedophile ring. Do you remember when militants went to the border to stop this caravan of immigrants? Armed militants went to the border to stop these caravan of immigrants from coming to America. Do you remember that? Do you remember when this summer we had armed people trying to stop people from voting? We take to the streets because it is denied. You take to the streets because you don't like what happened. You lost. We need to accept that. Right now, Black people have taken to the street because we have watched our lives snuffed out with no one being brought to account for it. You rioted and brought guns to the state capitol because you couldn't get a haircut. And that was all stoked by him. All of that by him. I guess being white means that you never have to apologize or take ownership of something. It seems like the only ownership you're ever proud of having is ours, our freedom. We are not the same. We cry for justice when our lives are taken and nobody being about to account for it. You cry when you don't get your way. How many times have we not got our way and we stormed the Capitol and shit all over the car, or peed all over the car, or beat a police officer to death with a fire extinguisher, and you say nothing's wrong? Nothing's wrong? Don't rush to it?
Oh, dear.
The day that man swore in office, it was him that during the debate said, stand back and stand by. And what has happened? He actioned those people, just like he did to stop us from going to the polls. He's tried to stop us from going to the polls. He tried to intimidate us. He tried to remove the polling places and places where we could vote, mailboxes, and still we won. We won. We ran it back and won. And you lost, and now you're angry. And now you can't even take the responsibility of your way. You did this. This man was acting by you, and just like you before, you are turning your back to it. Because he gets to do what he wants. I guess the worst thing a white dude can say is he's sorry or take responsibility. Oh, he suffered enough. Didn't you hear this president give a speech after it was way too late? They tried to take over the Capitol. They tried to destroy a government because they didn't like the action. We are nothing like you. They're accusing one of my fraternity brothers, who's a police officer in Philadelphia, of being a part of a militant group. We want to uplift our people. We want to persevere. We want to lead them to scholarships. We want to lead. Our lamp burns to light the way. Your light burns on a cross to burn things down. We are nothing alike. That's a little note from the GED section. We've got a jazz report come up in 15 minutes. It's the D on you, Bishop.
Yes, yes, we are nothing alike.
Okay. Any comments? Is that what you heard?
Yeah, that's the piggybacking on what Michelle said. The thing that resonates with me is we are nothing like you.
Yes.
You know, like he said, you guys are crying over spilled milk. You guys have ripped our bodies apart. You've killed our men. You know what I'm saying? You've taken us from our land.
Right.
And we never once tried to storm the Capitol or anything like that. You know, so we're nothing like you. You guys are, you know, I mean, they are beasts.
Right.
I'm thinking about Nebuchadnezzar when the Lord caused him to crawl around like a beast. That's what he really is. That's what he really was.
Right. But it's also a witness once you get it wrapped around in your mind that Go back to Genesis chapter 10. Man, Japheth ain't none of Noah's son.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get that, see that, because like I said, the DNA going to identify that.
Yes.
It's you know, it's brain waves outside of the norm. You got to look at that, and then you can see point blank. It sounds crazy from a King James and Christian perspective, but he ain't nothing know his son. You know,
Mm-hmm.
hell he know his son. Like he just said, we nothing like them. So how can we be the same when you can see that everything is, we are total opposites? So you have to go all the way back to Noah and see that he ain't know his son, Japheth. He ain't know the sinners of Noah.
Right.
He been
And
brainwashed.
I would like to make one other point. When you look at what's going on in our nation, across the world, actually, they have to have Black people to be a part of the treachery and the bestiality stuff that they do, because if not, it would be clear to the world. Like if there were no Black people in Congress, if there were no Black people that were friends with all of these European people that do these treacherous things, the world would see that we are nothing like them. It would just be, it would just be like the white supremacists that stormed the Capitol. They had, what I'm saying, if Black people were not involved at all, if they had not brainwashed some of us, like the Colin Powells, the Condoleezza Rices, the Barack Obamas, if they did not brainwash them and MK them to be a part of what they do, there would be a clear line between the treacherous thing that European people do and how we are. But it's confusing because you look at you look at a situation that's going on in the US, and you see these prominent Black people standing shoulder to shoulder with these European, with Esau, with Jewish people that have beast in their DNA. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
they have to have us to be a part
Right.
of everything they do.
Right. They're not seeing that. They ain't seeing that. That's the part where they have to be waking up from, because of the video I'm getting ready to show you. Is when you on this line, on this channel, you seeing that there's a distinct difference between us and them. The European is a distinct difference between us and the African. But the average African American don't know that. And then you got the boule that they brainwashed. They tied to this beast through oaths and all that. So they don't understand that. So we've already went through the laying the foundation as far as we understand the scriptures that the Most High, our forefathers, the reason why we have the Tanakh is for us to identify who we are, and that's why
Yes.
each prophet going out his way when he describing something, he telling you what it looked like. He described the angels. He described the Lord of Hosts, said that his skin was bronze, brown. So we know how he looked, and that's how this woman looked right here. See, and then look how this one look. It's two totally different type of people.
Right.
So,
Right.
so what the man said, even like look at the colors on her clothes and all this the feathers and all that. See what I'm saying? She's more dominant. She's a queen and all that.
Right. Come
And
on
then,
now.
so what this woman is that she's a high-tech writer, African writer. So she ain't, she didn't get all her countenance and all that from over in America. She's an African writer. So, I mean, I don't know if y'all know about her, but I have been checking out for a while. That's her name right here. I can't say it, Chimamanda.
Yeah, she spoke. She spoke at the grad. She's spoken at some Ivy League universities here in the U.S. For their graduation ceremony.
They marveling at her. They marvel at her. They marveling at her. But so We're gonna look at it. So it goes back to how was it what Michael Moore said. They see what's happening, and then like I said, how many Negroes know what's going on in Africa?
Right.
So check this out. She's gonna insult
Do people read your books in Nigeria?
See that?
They do, shockingly. They do. There are bookshops in Nigeria. You know, I think it reflects very poorly on French people that you have to ask me that question.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I mean.
Okay.
Because I think surely, I mean, it's 2018. You know, I mean, come on. My books are read in Nigeria. They're studied in schools, actually not just Nigeria, across the continent of Africa. And it means a lot to me because obviously I'm very grateful to be read everywhere in the world, but there's something about being read by the people about whom you write. And some of my writing, the people who sort of made stage plays of some of the stories in Nigeria. When I wrote Half of the Yellow Sun, I remember doing my first event in Lagos, and it was a full house, and it suddenly turned into people just arguing about history. And I sat back and I just enjoyed it. People were throwing words at each other. And for me, what was wonderful was that literature had made this happen. That because of this contested part of our history, people had read this book and suddenly they were talking about it and they were disagreeing. But the point is that we're having a conversation, and that conversation had been prompted by literature. And so I felt hopeful about it. I think in general that France doesn't seem to realize that it is no longer an 18th century world power. And I say this with sad honesty because I have affection for. The minister left. Oh, okay, good. But I mean, I think that the French, so I'm Anglophone African, I'm not Francophone, but I think that French, the history of French and Francophone relations, I find very vexed and troubling. I think it's interesting, this idea that the CFA, the Francophone currency, is somehow tied to the French franc. I find that really retrograde. I think that the way that there's a kind of cultural power that France wields over Francophone Africa that I think is unhealthy.
Right.
Francophone films are really French.
Yeah,
films,
she's beating them up, but she's doing it so intellectually.
Exactly.
She's classy.
Kind of, I think the way that Anglophone Africans occupy their space in the UK is not the same way that Francophone Africans occupy their space in France. And I think that Francophone Africans who know this, right, and maybe they should be the ones answering this question because
taking notes.
I know
what you gotta do, that's what you're supposed to do.
Obviously, I don't have a personal experience. But I should say that my criticism when I started out, and I stand by it, it's because I've had many unpleasant experiences with French immigration. Yesterday was different because they were actually polite. But every time I have come into France, and it's happened, I'm going to say 4 or 5 times in the past 2 years, there's a kind of contempt with which I am dealt with when I present my Nigerian passport that I really find indefensible. And I think it's important because the immigration officers are the first line of contact with the country, and so think of the country. And I think
look at how she's looking at her.
Be polite and
so look around out there in the audience at the black women and the other ones. Ain't nowhere in hell we came from the same place. So you
No.
Right,
can't take that
right.
Genesis chapter 10 and shove it.
To give
Yes.
the basic dignity. And if I'm coming into a country and I have everything I need and I am legally there, then surely there's no reason to keep me for 30 minutes asking me ridiculous questions, ignoring me
Yes.
for long periods, and just being an ass. So that's what has shaped my irritation with. I think it's important to remember that all human beings really deserve equal dignity. It shouldn't depend on the passport that we carry.
Okay.
Come on now. Come
So,
on now.
any comments?
Well,
All right.
absolutely. I mean, and also, Leonard, when you look at the audience, notice how the European people are leaning forward, hanging on every word she
Right,
says.
right. They've been doing that, but we was lost.
Yes.
Right. And so she stick out like a sore thumb with
Yes.
all, and the thing about it is what you seeing on her, like I was saying, that's what I mean about uh thinking like a Hebrew and having the Hebrew countenance. That's how we are.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the Israelite.
Yes.
We ain't,
Come on.
the person ain't peeped that out yet.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
so I see a lot of people once they started coming into this and they start getting the information, uh, they start finding out they're Hebrew Israelite, you know, they don't really zero in on this, but you got to zero in on that. Yeah. So because like I said, it's a total different type of countenance. Uh,
Yes.
this the purpose right here of what the New Testament done to us.
Mm.
Right,
You gotta
right.
understand that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what that is.
I also wanted to
You
say,
know?
huh?
Okay, I'll say shalom to Tony.
Okay. When you look at the countenance of Chimanda, and you look at the countenance of the lady that's interviewing her, that I mean, the lady knows that she's inferior. You can see it on her face.
Oh yeah. You could tell by how she was looking at it.
Right,
Yes, she knows that she's inferior, and as a matter of fact, she's giving her a look like, like how dare you,
right,
talk to me that way.
right. Well, what it is, she think it's business as usual. Like Michael Moore said. I got to keep going back to what Michael Moore is saying and what's going on. She said that they see the shift is happening. So
Right.
2 years ago, she could have said that and nobody would have said nothing. But black folks ain't there no more. Most High bring back their counters and they bill and all that. They ain't going for it. You know,
Mm.
they ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
like how she was smooth and in her deliverance.
right,
Yeah, she was just calm and she I
Right,
guess
right,
the other lady set her own self up so in her
right,
attitude in a smooth way.
right,
Yes.
right. And that's how you have to do it, especially when now we in the midst of we being waking up. We being in the process of being regathered. You have to you have to understand that. So you have to have just like I'm saying about uh, a business person, an entrepreneur. You have to once you become an entrepreneur, you if you had an attitude one way that you dealt with people, or you had certain people you had issues with, well, now that you have got a business, those people are now potential customers. You can't you can't
mm,
you can't continue to act like you act before. Now you gotta up the game, you gotta up the standards because you're in a business world now. So everybody's a potential customer. So you have to go back to your mindset on how you gonna greet these people if they come into your place. You
right,
can't you can't greet them like you greet them when he's in the streets. You're an entrepreneur now. So now that
Right.
you find out you're an Israelite, you got to approach everything totally different. You know,
right,
the same person that you might have had a problem with might all of a sudden make a statement around you, and you know that they crying out. You know, you got to address that. You can't act like you didn't hear that. You
right,
understand?
Right.
right.
So that's what that is. So
Um,
go ahead.
I'm
Somebody needs to mute their mic or something.
That's all. I think that's Tony. I mean,
Leonard, I wanted to just make a small comment in reference to her behavior.
Right.
She did not have to get out of character to prove her point,
Right.
to say what she wanted to say.
Right.
Um, and again, as I'm just going to make a comment on women. As women, we have to understand that we do not have to be like the next woman. We do not have to act like the next woman, especially as Black queens.
Right.
We are already feared.
Right.
So we have to stay classy, just like she did, and be okay if we're not for everybody. You
Right.
know, I just love her countenance, the way she handled her, and the way that she carried herself.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. So like I said, you not. It's something that has to be seen, or something. It's a lot of things have to be revealed to wake people up and get them off on the right track. Because, like I said, dealing with the scriptures, there's so much stuff that, so many ways that we've been hoodwinked and set off on the down the wrong road. So,
Right.
you have to bring it to the forefront for people to see it. Like what I just did with the just look at us as African Americans and look at them. How we came, all of us came from Adam.
Right. Right.
There's a lot. There's a lot in the picture here.
Right.
Came from Adam. And then a lot of Israelites that kind of been in this a while, and they've been around, and they heard that they go to the Zotavan dictionary where it says the sons of Ham, and in the list Canaan, Mezarine, and Cush. It say, but not the Negroes. The Negroes
Mm.
ain't none of Ham's sons. So
Mm.
we gotta look at that, and then so
Right.
go look at it. You can see it's obvious difference between the Africans and us, the African Americans over here. We're not the same people.
No, we are not.
So and then we looking at what I'm saying about JFAT. We ain't the same people. So it's three different types of people. And they got three different origins.
Yes.
Like I said, you take that Genesis chapter 10 and you shove it because it ain't, that's leading you off down the wrong road.
Mm.
So anyway, now anybody got any more comments on that video?
We need to see more of that again, just like the video you played last night. We need to see more of that. We don't see enough of that because it's hidden. You basically have to search for videos like that. But
Right.
you don't have to search for the videos that's showing you that they living in huts and, red clay and, the hungry children and so forth. You can find that so easily.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So with all the turmoil, and then this is for all the Israelites out there that might come across this video. Uh, it's all kind of this transpiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've
Mm-hmm.
said over and over again that we know that uh, in the beginning, Enoch, our forefather, was taken up in heaven, and he was given a book, which is the book of Enoch, and it was brought back down, and it was for all the descendants of Enoch after, for every generation after him. But that book been denigrated, and then so when you come across it, you done heard all this uh, bad press about it. So you go into it. 9 times out of 10, they don't even read it. But the ones that do, they go into the fact that there's something wrong with it. When that's the missing link to your understanding. When you go
Mm-hmm.
into it, you have to understand that. So nobody knew the goings on in heaven. And he was
Right.
taken up and shown all that. And he informed us how everything transpired in the beginning, how these wicked angels came down, and that's how sin came on the earth and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to go back and you gotta incorporate that into your understanding and into your foundation, and then you can start reading that Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. But you first got to understand what our forefather Enoch conveyed to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the person that lived a righteous life. That he was
Oh,
so right
yes.
taken up.
Mm-hmm.
Not the character they gave you over in the King James in the New Testament.
Testament, right.
So Creator, like I said, all this turmoil that's going on the earth is nothing new under the sun, because the same chaos happened when we came out of Egypt. You got to go back and think about that. The very person that was involved with the creation, the Lord of hosts, brought 10 plagues. You can't get no more chaotic than that. He brought 10
Mm.
plagues to Egypt, and he brought those 10 plagues to Egypt for one reason. That was to deliver the Israelites. So you say, well, what you talking about? Well, we was in Babylon. Let's go look at it. We was in
Okay.
Babylon, and we're gonna pick it up in Haggai. And he got to deliver us, our Redeemer, Lord of hosts. He got to deliver us out of Egypt. I mean, out of Babylon. So I'm in Haggai.
Okay.
Let me get it right quick. So I'm in Haggai chapter 2. And so, I got to do some multitasking, So he has to bring them out of Babylon. But before he do it, he got a covenant with one of our forefathers, David. He got a covenant with one of our forefathers, Aaron. A high priest, you need a high priest, then you need a king.
A king.
You gotta
Okay.
you gotta bring them forward before he can do that. So a lot of people might not heard this. So I'm just giving you a little rendition. So he brings forth uh, Joshua, and he brings forth Zerubbabel. And now that he got his two messiahs, now he got to bring chaos on the world in order to bring them from Babylon back to Jerusalem. So I'm gonna pick it up in chapter 2, verse 20. And keep in mind, we looking at the same things now. We in captivity over here, and we got to be delivered from here. So we got to bring chaos over the whole world in order to deliver us. So he says, I'm in Haggai chapter 2, verse 20. And again, the word of the Lord came to Haggai in the 4th and 20th day of the month, saying, speak to Zerubbabel. It's the king, in case you don't know who this is. It's the king out of lineage out of David's lineage that was in Babylon. And he
Okay.
basically says, speak to Zerubbabel, king of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth. That's what we're witnessing right now.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
that's what they witnessed in Egypt with the 10 plagues. It says, and I will overthrow the thrones and the kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses of the riders that shall come down. It shall come down, every one by his sword or his brother. And we're looking at these Europeans fighting against each other.
Yes.
That's what we're looking at. So 23, in that day, said the Lord of hosts, I will take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Sethel, said the Lord, and I will make thee a signal, for I have chosen thee, said the Lord of hosts. So what we're witnessing right now is no different. He's shaking the world up because we did our 400 years. And what he's doing right here in Haggai chapter 2, Jeremiah
Mm-hmm.
told them they was going to do 70 years in Babylon. 70 years was up. And I just read what he done. He shook the whole world up to deliver them. Well, the
Oh,
400
yeah.
years is up. The 400 years came a time appointed came in 2019. And so now we see what's happening in the world, the coronavirus and all these Europeans going all against each other. There's chaos everywhere. So with that understanding, I'm gonna read one more verse and then I'm gonna play this video. So he
Okay.
also he also told Jeremiah in Jeremiah 29 and 14 uh, what the process is when he delivers his people. They go into captivity, they sin against him, they go into captivity, he kicked them out the land, and then he comes, cause chaos, and bring them back. But it's a process on how he do it. So
Okay.
29 and 14 says, and I will be found of you, said the Lord. and I will turn away your captivity. That's where we are right now. He's turning away our captivity. And I will gather you from all the nations, and I will, and from all the places whither I have driven you, said the Lord. And I will bring you again into the place which I have caused you to be carried away.
Oh,
We know
yes.
we're waking up, and we know that we Hebrew Israelites, but where did we
Yes.
come from? How did we come
Yes.
into this captivity? We came into this
Mhm.
captivity on the west coast of Africa.
Yes.
He just told you he's gonna take you back by the way in which you came.
Okay.
Go back to the west coast of Africa. Then from there you go to our homeland.
Right.
So
Hallelujah.
let's look at what's happening. This video started was produced a year ago.
Okay.
African Americans are choosing to move to the African continent. I've been to Africa a couple times, a few times, and I'm going back. I'm going back for extended periods of time. So some exciting things are happening on the continent. There's a lot of talk about the great return of our dispersed African brothers and sisters across the world. Black people, all our black people, yes. Go back to Africa. Whatever you're doing here, do it there. In recent years, thousands of African Americans have made the decision to, quote, return home to the African continent. We are 27 strong from the diaspora. Home in Ghana, home in Ghana. Many say they want to escape the racial pressure pot of the United States, while some want to connect to the land of their ancestors. What would make a person walk off the set of a successful show and go to Africa? Not quite, because I don't understand everything, but I'm going to learn. And when I come back in December, I'm coming back. And when I come back, I'm going to be speaking the good to bring. I'm going to be,
Right now.
ready to go to Africa. Relax, have a good time. I'm tired of the traffic in LA. So I think that going to Africa is great. I think every black person should go at some point if you can. Fab, good to see Covina. Back home in Ghana on the ground. Of the African Union ambassador to the U.S. calling our African American brothers and sisters back home. We're all the Africans. We're all the African Union. And building the Africa that we want is your responsibility. Africa is the only place in the world where black people can go and build Fortune 500 companies from scratch within 5 years.
Okay.
Some say Africa's golden era is gone. A time when great African kings and queens built their dreams into empires, stretching across the continent and beyond. But we say a new era is upon us. A new set of African kings and queens are on the rise, driven by the same wealth of character as the kings and queens before them, building new empires of enterprise with the right partnership. So rise up wherever you are, new kings and queens of Africa. Yeah, so later on in this broadcast, close to the end, I'm gonna explain this what you listen to right here, because what they did. I just told you what the Zadavan dictionary told us. That Cush, Nazarene, the Egyptian, and Foot is not the African, but the Negro, the African American is not from Haiti. You know, he's sheep. So what they quote inside of this is they just like they did in chapter 10, quote us in with the Hamite in this turn that's going on. It's already started. They got us cloaked in there as African Americans, part of African diaspora, but that's not the case. The case is uh, we Israelites fled from our homeland because the seed against our God in 143 BC. Anti-Christians ran us out. We ended up over at the top part of Africa. We was held up there because of the Sahara Desert. Then finally we started trickling down through the Sahara Desert, and we ended up on the west coast of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And our wicked ass brother Esau knew that where we was at.
Right.
So when he came into his power, he broke the yoke off his neck from what Isaac put on there. he ended up through coming from Spain and Portugal, came down with the Nina Pinto and Santa Marina, because that's who King, they say King James is black, and Queen Isabella, those are Edomites. And they sent Columbus out to America because they're looking for a homeland, because they're being persecuted by the curses that was on them from Ezekiel 35. They got curses on them. So just like we have the curse of Deuteronomy on us. So they ended up finding this land over here, over in America. And once they found it, they needed somebody that can deal with the land. Well, Adam and his descendants are tillers of the ground. So they came and got us and brought us over here. That's what the transatlantic slave trade is about. So
embrace your full potential and be proud of your heritage. We have a wonderful sister here, that's why. Our first time in the motherland, yeah!
Oh my goodness.
You are home, my sister. My sister,
That's
you are
gonna be
home.
me. Oh yes.
yeah, so this is what Africa look like. Got us in the dark.
Yes. Yes.
Where we at?
Oh yes.
What it do? What it do? Mic check 1 2.
Oh my. Oh yes.
Hello.
Shalom.
Shalom. What you doing?
They still building from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Oh yeah.
Got to wrap your mind around this if you call yourself Israelite.
Oh yes.
Stop it.
Come on now.
The flight
Oh
is
yes.
10 hours, thanks to Atlanta-based Delta Airlines,
Setting it all up.
which flies nonstop to more places in Africa than any other U.S.-based carrier. If our ancestors can make it over here, y'all can take a 10-hour flight. Tap.
Come on, Chris.
Okay. In the comments.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I don't care if the flight 32 hours, I can make
Yep.
it.
Come on, Zaire. Come on.
Is that something?
Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness.
Oh, praise to the Most High.
Oh yes. Yes. Hallelujah.
Yes, yes. Mhm. Now, I see you got or not you, but Leonard, there's a question in the
Yeah.
chat, and you're going to put it off till later. Is that it?
Is that the question right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. It says, do I have, I do have a question about white people who do so.
Sojourn.
Will we be a part of a gathering? Well, it's about Israel. Israel is going to be regathered. Regather at the, I mean, and when all this, what you see transpiring now, Israel it's all about Israel because we've been cast off for uh, actually over 2,500 years, but we came here in 1619 when they came and got us from the west coast of Africa in Deuteronomy 28. verse 68 overtook us and brought us here. So this prophecy is pertaining to the nation of Israel.
True Israel, yes.
Later on, you know, in Zechariah, we see where other nations going to come up to the God of Israel and to worship Him. Yeah, so that's how they work. And, you know, no disrespect or anything, but this is how that's how it's going down. Okay. So with that being said, anybody else got anything on that?
Well, yeah, whoever that person is, above that one, that question that says, yes, all praises to Him. Who to Him? Do they know that we know that it's not a Jesus thing, that it's a Lord of Hosts thing? So, in essence, she's speaking about the Most High, or he, she. I don't know who it is. I have no clue.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna let them walk up on that.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
So I got one more video pertaining to Africa. What I'm trying to do is, you know,
Get our mind right.
get all my ducks in a row as far as, you know, trying to keep everybody informed on what's going on in Africa. So here goes.
Yes.
It's a little minute and 38 seconds. So what I'm trying to give you is some different images than what you've been getting on what's really going on in Africa. Because, you know, it's all about the scriptures. Most High says, don't let him leaf fall from the ground that he don't know nothing about.
That he don't know about.
Right. This is a video that I didn't play last night. So see all the construction going on? In case you don't know what that is, in case you don't know what this is right here, this Echo Atlantis. You know, they've been building on this since like 2014. They're at the point now about to be complete. And what it is, see those two towers? It's a new New York City. It's like New York City was a trading capital of the world. This place is going to take its place. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to break all that down in a minute on why that's so. Now you see why they got projected that 85% of the world population is going to be in Africa by 2030, around there, 2035. So just like they needed us over in Egypt and in Babylon, they needed us in America. They need us over here for what they get ready to do. You gotta understand. Yeah.
And now a message.
Okay, so anybody got any comments on that? Okay. Yeah. So I did that, like I said, to show everybody that what you really think going on ain't what's going on. They got these people. They woo you to death with the right hand, and then what they really doing, they got in their left hand. They bouncing a little glowing ball over here in their right hand. You watching that, but what they really doing is over in their left hand, like I said. So, with that being said, then I'm asking anybody again. Anybody got any comments on what they just saw? Okay.
Beauty.
Okay. So now, I don't know if anybody's familiar with this, but it's a movie that not too recently came out. It's called One Night in Miami, and it's a trailer. I mean, yeah, it's One Night in Miami, and what it is this is profound because it goes back to like I said, how they dangling a glowing object over here in your right hand, but they're doing something else in the left hand. So understand who we are. You hear over and over all over the internet how people are saying that, you know, everybody, all the other nations know who they are, and they know who we are. We just don't know who the hell we are. So, but now that Deuteronomy, Isaiah 44, 1-5, then transpired, is a prophecy. Now we are waking up to who we are. So, but like I said, all along, especially the powers that be, the bankers and the Illuminati bankers and the people that's running America, been know who we were. And I also inform you about when they built the African American nation state over in Africa called Liberia. It's prophecies on us. And they said that we was gonna start waking. Let me read that Isaiah 44 right quick. Because we got people on the line that know about that, but some that don't. Yeah, so I'm in Isaiah right quick. Isaiah 44, 1-5 says, this our Redeemer. You prophesied this. Yet hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, Jacob, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jezreel, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessings upon thine offspring, and they shall spring up among the grass as willow by a watercourse. And one shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname himself by the name of Israel. So that's a prophecy that's on us. That started a while back. So when every time it happens, Esau, these Illuminati bankers have our records, and they know how detrimental it is that they have those records to try to usurp on the Most High plan. So when we started waking up back then, they created that Liberian African American state in Liberia to get the people out that had started waking up. I think one of the main characters was the guy named Delaney. And so they sent them over there, and now, and then it started again back in the 60s, in 64. And so like I was showing you, you see how dominant the difference in the woman, the black woman, Chimanda, whatever her name was, and the people that was sitting around them had the difference in them and the So I'm gonna show you this trailer and keep that in mind. How this information was kept away from us about what had happened in Miami this one particular night. That's the name of it, one night in Miami. So we're gonna see who's involved in it. Let me set it up right quick. And like I said, this been hid from us. We know about the Eli Whitney and the cotton gin and all that, but we don't know about this. Okay, here we go. I got a series of videos I'm gonna do on this. So okay, here we go.
For tonight, I'm as ready as a person can be. After the fight, we're all coming back here for the champ's victory, boy. Don't be late.
Minister Malcolm X. Good news, the chariot is coming.
You know I'm the greatest. That's right. Jim Brown takes the ball. Your record is going to
Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X. They met up in a room in Miami after he beat Sonny Liston.
Give him an autograph, Jim. Jackson, Mr. Cook. Oh, sure thing, brother.
Yeah, that's the chance.
You should think it's about time to party. Tonight is a chance for us to reflect. I mean, no one else is coming? Well, this is off to a hopping start. You all are bright and shining futures. You need to understand what is at stake. Everything's not so black and white like you make it out to be. But we are fighting for our lives. You know I know what's going on out there, right? Listen. Brothers and sisters, listen. Miami, the champs! Where we'll never find a way where we're going all alone. The goal is for us to really be free. When bells ring out, we want a world where we're safe to be ourselves.
They was united. They was conscious. They was conscious. Most I was working with them. We're gonna see what happened to them.
We have to be there for each other. Move away. My brothers could move mountains.
Yeah. One man in Egypt delivered us. Imagine what these 4 brothers would have did.
Oh yeah.
So like I say, what you have to understand about this Daniel told Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar wasn't apt and informed on the fact that it's a kingdom in heaven that was above his kingdom. He thought he was doing all this stuff, and then Daniel, this Hebrew, had to let him know it's a kingdom above his kingdom. And his angels up there, and they watch us, and they coming down, they watching everything. When you ain't right and exact, then it's a judgment that comes forward. And you ignorant to all that. Daniel kept Nebuchadnezzar off on all that. So the 4th beast that we're dealing with, when you understand what it is, this 4th beast is Esau, Edom, our brother that hate us, right? He done merged with Japhet, and they telling you that Japhet is Noah's son, but he ain't none of Noah's son. He's Cain's descendants. So they done merged together. So guess what they done did? He got our records. So he done developed the kingdom. He done sucked up all the wealth of the world, 95 to 98% of the money in the world, Rothschilds and all of them. And so they got watches. And who they watching? They watching Jacob. And every time Jacob make a move to do something, they come out and usurp it. And the Most High is only allowing that to happen for right now because we got prophecies on us.
Right.
So when you look at this movie, when you get a chance to watch it, he's got Muhammad Ali. We know how dominant these men was at the time. They all had unified. Muhammad Ali, James Brown, Malcolm X, and Sam Cooke. And what the situation with Sam Cooke was that he was trying to fit in like we doing, because we don't know who the hell we are. So we looking at their model, trying to be like them. So Malcolm X was telling them, man, look at these songs you're singing. You're singing white songs. So Malcolm X told him, you need to identify with who you are as far as when you singing in your songs. He telling Muhammad Ali this. That's why he was talking like he was talking. James Brown was the way he was. They had all unified. So right after this meeting right here, that's when Sam Cooke made the song that he was by the river.
Right.
He went back to his roots. But what you have to understand about it, drama came on all of them. Muhammad Ali got sent to jail. Sam Cooke got killed. Malcolm X got killed. They busted it up. Like I said, one brother. It's one. These 4 brothers here look just like Moses did. Moses delivered us out of Egypt. Mosiah used Moses by himself. It was 4 of them. Imagine what they would have done.
Oh my.
But this wicked ass system they got in place that the average brother don't know nothing about came in and usurped it.
Right.
They've been doing that over and over again. But I just showed you that it's a kingdom above this kingdom.
Oh yes.
Mosiah got prophecies on us. And we see it's manifested after all it done. What he said is still manifesting itself. Well, let me finish this. Okay. Any comments?
Yeah, I got to see that movie.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
yes.
Get you some popcorn and because it's
Oh yes.
yes. Yeah, I got a couple more videos pertaining to that because it's like I said, it's electrifying.
Right,
So,
that's a profound movie.
The lady, I don't know who Regina King, but she's the one that made it. She's the director.
Yeah, Regina King, the one in the middle in the orange right there.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Angelique Jackson, film and media reporter at Variety, and welcome to Variety's virtual studio at the Toronto International Film Festival. We are here with the cast and crew of One Night in Miami. Well, I'm going to start with, of course, our fearless leader, the incredible, legendary Regina King. This story it's so powerful, the story of Cassius Clay, Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, and Malcolm X. Why was this film what you wanted to have as your feature directorial debut?
It was on the page. When I read Kim Powers' script, it just blew me away. I felt like I'd never seen conversation like this on screen before, and perhaps there's always someone out there that will have dug up something to tell me that I'm wrong. And
these four guys on here, they the actors that played before.
And so
legends.
I just,
right.
What Kim wrote was just so beautiful, and I felt I wanted to be a part of this. There was a part of me that I was like, if I was a man, I would want to play one of these roles. I would be doing whatever I can to play one of these roles. And just as a mother, as a niece, as a daughter of a Black man, I just felt like I wanted to tell a story or be a part of telling a story that every Black man that I know and love can see a bit of himself in that story.
And then, of course, you have these four incredible actors taking on these iconic, legendary men. Who signed on first?
Aldous Hodge.
All right, Star, then we will start with you. Portraying Jim Brown, what was it about him that made you want to be a part of this film, and how did you find your inner Jim Brown?
No one else is coming? Well, rest assured, my brother, you're not missing anything. When I started doing my research, down back in the 60s, and I started really enveloping all of the different interviews he did, how he was speaking on the power of Black economics, how he was so forward thinking. At the time, I said, all right, his presence here, there's so much potential to really express the need and the desire for that self-awareness, that self-knowledge for what we're trying to do now. Also, the conversation that these men are having throughout this entire film speaks to everything that we're dealing with now. So we can put that conversation on a grand stage and help to either teach people what it is we're going through, and also teach us how to have that conversation within our own circles so that we can keep moving forward towards real progress. Oh my goodness. Guys, okay? Oh, man, that's so pretty.
You both had previously auditioned to play Cassius Clay, and how did that go to this, where Eli is Cassius and Kingsley, you are Malcolm X?
Well, it just simply got too old. I waited you out. He beat me out for another role to play Cassius. We both went for a role that Ang Lee was doing that didn't end up getting made. He booked it. I was close, and I was too young. That was the note that I got back. Maybe it's better, but my age made me feel better by saying I was too young. And then I was just like, well, there's going to be another Cassius role because he's Cassius Clay. There's going to be movies until the end of time about it, right? And then when this came around, it was just a perfect fit, and people told me about it, and I reached out to Regina, and she brought me in right away, and it was just such a wonderful story, and then it all kind of came full circle when I found out that Kingsley had been Cassius in the other film that hadn't happened. It was just such a how things work out sometimes. It's just one of those odd things.
You guys are both portraying these roles that have been done so memorably by Will Smith and Denzel Washington, respectively. Was there any hesitation in wanting to jump in?
Absolutely none at all. Absolutely none at all. What's on the agenda, Malcolm? Well, I thought this would be a wonderful chance for us to reflect on what's happened tonight. Like our young brother said, there's no denying that greater forces were at work. You know, you read this script and you just go, this is Malcolm in a whole new light. This is an opportunity to investigate him on a particular night. I didn't know as much as I do now at the time, but the more and more you dig into where Malcolm was at psychologically, politically, emotionally at that time, like facts, the more this script just bounces out, and you're like, whoa, this is an opportunity to explore him in a whole new way. And Dick also described him and said, you know, in private, he was a sweet and bashful man. And I thought, damn, that's a Malcolm X that we haven't seen before. You know, the images that are projected onto us of him and what he, you know, of Malcolm were always him reacting to the most atrocious incidents of black racism. There's a pressure, but it's the pressure to just make sure you're putting everything you've got into it, rather than like who did it before or whatever. All right. When is this party going down?
Leslie, Sam Cooke, this role previously came to you when it was the play. You were initially offered this when yeah, on stage.
Yeah, the play kept chasing me in different productions. I was offered the LA production, and then there was interest in me for a New York production that never happened. But it was just timing that it wasn't working out for the play. And then when the movie was happening, it was announced there was another actor attached to the role. So it wasn't even, you know, I didn't think that there was a, you know, chance. It was gone when it was announced. And then, you know, when the audition came my way, by then, you know, I have to say I wasn't too inclined to step into the shoes of Sam Cooke. You find that once you know, get the industry to take notice, you know, a lot of these biopics, you know, they can come your way. And, you know, I remember a Sammy one came my way a few years ago, and I very clearly, I love Sammy Davis Jr., but I very clearly knew that was not my part to do. I said, you know, right now I have the opportunity to be the best and only Leslie Odom Jr. that people know. Like, why would I want to be a whack Sammy Davis Jr.? Like, why would I want to be a whack Sam Cooke when I can just be myself? So that's what I saw on the face of it. But then my agents, my managers, thank goodness, called me back after I passed and said, please take a second look at this. And I saw deeper. I saw what Brother Kemp was doing with these four gentlemen on this actual night, this imagined interaction with them, was that he was having a private conversation publicly. There were some things that we could say in this room that we don't share. You know, we don't have these conversations publicly, and there's something exciting about that.
And Leslie, in this film, you're not just tasked with singing Sam Cooke's greatest songs, but there's also one of your own that you brought to the table with Speak Now.
This one I wrote with a guy named Sam Ashworth, and it was inspired a lot by Sam's inspiration in the Bob Dylan song, Blowing in the Wind. So I remember in that, so I'd heard Blowing in the Wind many times, but when we were shooting the scene where Malcolm plays it for Sam, I listened to it again and again and again, you know, trying to get new ears, trying to hear what Sam heard and what bothered him about it. You know, I thought of it almost like a ghost story. It's really a call to take this opportunity to use your life, to not wait, to speak and act at this very moment.
The film, as it discusses, you know, our societal obligations as Black people. What is our obligation as public figures, as Black people, Black filmmakers? So what do you see as your societal responsibility?
I feel like our obligation is to be honest to ourselves, and to not compare what you do or what you aren't doing to what someone else is or isn't doing, and to be very careful to not judge or say what you think someone else should be doing. And so for me, my responsibility is to continue to educate myself and to continue to speak my truth. I feel like if I speak to that, then I am living my purpose, the purpose that I was put on this earth to fulfill. So yeah,
sometimes the message is lost in one's aversion to not wanting to see another or acknowledge another reality, another distinction outside of their own. And I think something that this film calls to so specifically is the fact that these men are all tied very closely with this overarching scenario, but they're all living in different realities, right? And how are they coming together to have that conversation to figure it out?
This is such a beautiful film that speaks to the humanity of these legends that we haven't gotten to know as humans. And we're looking at, Hollywood as it moves forward, as Hollywood adapts in the midst of this racial reckoning. We look at things like the Oscars coming up with their inclusion rules. What do you make of those? What do you make of what we do next? What is the next step?
Yeah, I think when you talk about the Oscars and the inclusion, I look at it as an opportunity to expand, to be able to think beyond.
Yeah, this another reason right here. What you hear them saying, they want us out here too, because it's at the point now where they can't stop us. If they don't move us out here, we're gonna encompass this place. But they're gonna use it to their advantage and send us over there, and they creating, in case people don't know it, what they creating is the United States of Africa. I'm gonna explain that in a minute.
I'm hoping that people will be more creative and think that the role was written. You can hire a person that's not white for that role because there's nothing in that role that color has anything to do with. And if you are going to cast someone that you may have written it with someone white in mind, but then you cast someone that's black in it, allow them to bring all of those wonderful things that have to do with being black to the role that makes it that much more complex, and not saying that wonderful things about being black, meaning that it has to have a certain racial tone to it. But for example, if you're casting, if it was written a certain way and there's a scene about hair or doing your hair and you cast me in it, that's going to be a different hair scene than it probably is going to be if Reese Witherspoon was doing the hair scene. So allow those things that are specific to the person that's playing a beat in that story. So I look at it as an opportunity of true growth.
Okay, any comments?
If you haven't watched the movie, watch it. It's a great movie.
Yes, I haven't watched it, but I did see previews, and just on their little interview right there, they all had something positive. And when they were, as a matter of fact, before they started speaking and seeing what the roles that they portrayed in that movie, I felt like surely the role from each individual should have a impact on their lives from that moment forward. In other words, from the time they portrayed Sam Cooke, Malcolm X, Jim Brown,
Muhammad Ali.
yeah, from that point on, surely in their individual lives they should be impacted by that character.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they was what they was doing. I mean, what they did was they hid it from us because, like I said, nobody knows those four guys that came together to
That one night in Miami.
knew that, and then
Right.
it was in 1964. at the heat of the civil rights movement. And then, like I said, look how profound that is. And then and now you knowing that they're Israelites too. You know, come on. So
Right.
they came in and usurped that. Like I said, when you go back and do the research, Sam Cooke came up dead.
Yep.
And Malcolm X came up dead. They threw Jim Brown into in a whirlwind, and then Muhammad Ali got sent to jail.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, and that's just those four. It was all kind of powerful brothers at that time.
Now, isn't Jim Brown the only one still living?
Yeah, he the only one that's still alive. Matter of fact, that's what I'm getting ready to show. Jim Brown going back. They doing a reflection where Jim Brown is going back to that motel. So I thought this was
History has been well chronicled.
This was
the city has also been the site of some important civil rights history, including a pivotal meeting between one of the NFL's most legendary players and three other iconic African American figures. Here now, a look at one memorable night in Miami, one that continues to resonate over 5 decades later.
Muhammad Ali was brave.
Sam Cooke was arguably the greatest singer this nation has seen. Malcolm X was one of the greatest freedom fighters in the 20th century.
Jim Brown is fearless.
I'm looking forward to this whole situation. I'm testing my memories. To think that all these years, people are interested in what happened way back then. Hello.
Welcome to the historic Hampton House. So happy to have you.
Good to be
Come
here.
and visit with us.
February 25th, 1964 was a remarkable day. Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. was stepping into the ring with Sonny Liston. At 22 years old, he became the heavyweight champion of the world. And that night, he repaired to his hotel, the Hampton House, with 3 other figures: Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X. America racially in 1964 was embarrassing. Equality didn't count. Fairness didn't count. All around me, black people were that was the nature of the country at that particular time.
It was that moment in my mind that they were able to have the opportunity to express their feelings without having to censor themselves in any way and be in a space that was safe.
I don't exactly remember when I met Ali, but it was before 64. Always in a good mood. I remember the sound of his voice. Jim Brown! What's happening? Malcolm X. That's a historical figure. And, Sam Cooke was unique talent, but he had a consciousness that he wanted to make this a better world. So he joined the forces, became an activist, and put his butt on the line. Well, 38. Wow, this is it. There he is. This does bring back memories. And in this room sort of gets me into my warrior suit. The struggle was so intense, if you didn't watch out, you'd be contradicting yourself. You had to be very careful because there were white people that were very racist, but there were white people that risked their lives to bring about freedom, equality, and justice to us. Today we can look back and appreciate those who made this room significant. I'm so happy that I was one of them. Think about it. 4 black men, 2 of whom would be dead within a year. Another one would retire at the height of his career. Another who would soon announce his conversion to a Muslim ideology. That date represents an extraordinary conversion of 4 black figures at the height of their professions, but who represented the interests of Black America. I'm only here to make myself a better person and to help those who need help. Now, underline this point. When I say be a better person, I'm not just talking about me. I'm looking at you too. Why not?
See, you never would have figured that. You never would have figured that was in the scriptures.
Right.
Okay. So, well, like I said, you probably asking yourself, anybody got any comments on that? No comments? Okay, yeah, you're saying, well, you know, that's all fine and dandy. Why are you showing me this? Well, I'm gonna go to the scriptures right quick and show you this, give you the right breakdown of this 4th beast.
Come on now.
That Daniel talked about, and how we see through these videos how different we are than them.
Yes.
So if you're different in all other ways, you're gonna be different in the way you think, and,
Right.
and the way you interpret things, the way you perceive things. So we're gonna get proper interpretation of Daniel chapter 7 right now. So Daniel had a dream, and he saw around he saw in chapter 7. Yeah, he saw 4 beasts, and then the angel came to him, Gabriel came and explained to him the interpretation, and that's where I'm gonna pick it up at in Daniel chapter 7, verse 15. It says, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head covered me. And I came near unto one of them that stood by, asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of these things. These great beasts, which are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even and forever. Just in case you don't know this, these saints are Israelites. So what's a saint? Saint is a dead person that come back to life. I'm gonna explain that in a minute. So 19 says, then would I know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverted from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devour and break in pieces, and stomp with the residue with his feet. And the 10 horns that were in his head, and the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even that horn that had eyes and a mouth, that spake very great things, whose looks were more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given unto the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So let me break that down before I go forward. So when you read this right here, 20, it says 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up before whom 3 fell, even that horn had eyes and a mouth, that spake very great things, and looks were more stout than his fellows. So when you understand what's going on with this the 4th beast, which is the Roman Empire, and we know at the beginning of it, Rome was sacked by these giants that came through the wall, through Hadrian Wall, and they sacked Rome, and Rome was divided into 4 parts, 4 different kings. It was north, south, east, and west. Constantine ended up subduing 3 of them. And that's what it's telling you right here. Constantine subdued 3 of them, and he became the sole ruler again. So the beast, we see the womb in the head, the capital city was sacked. And it went into a disarray, it was divided into 4 parts. Constantine came, conquered 3 of them, the 3 kings out of, it was 4 of them, and he conquered the other 3. And the Roman Empire became a whole again. But now he called it the Holy Roman Empire, because now they got our records. And they concocted, that's when they concocted Christianity. At the Council of Nicaea, now it's the Holy Roman Empire. That's what brings in the Vatican. And so this 4 beasts is Esau. That's why it's red all over the place. So understanding that Constantine concocted this at the Council of Nicaea, 21. I beheld in the same horn made war with the saints. So that's when in order to bring in Christianity, they came up with this doctrine that Israel was done away with, and the church superseded Israel. Israel would no longer exist no more. Most High done away with them. So then he says, behold, the same horn made war with the saints, prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and the judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth beast upon the earth. It shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break in pieces. It says it's going to be diverse, and I'm going to show you why it's diverse. 24. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. We know what that is. That's continuing. So what happened is, but the truth of the matter is, it's not. It's only 4 kingdoms. So what they tell us is that the fourth, at the bottom of the fourth beast, he's got 10 toes, which make it the 5th kingdom. This is supposed to be the kingdom of the Antichrist, but the scripture tell you it's only 4 beasts. The head is the Babylonians. The chest and the arms is the Medes and Persians, and from the waist to the knees to the thighs is the Greeks, and from the thigh down to the feet, toes included, is the 4th beast. So the proper interpretation is these four kings and this 4 beasts are the 4 beasts gonna transform itself 4 different times. The reason why it's diverse is it's able to relocate. Those other 3 kingdoms was in a certain geographical location. They rose and fell. They weren't able to relocate. They didn't have the understanding to relocate and transform itself. But this Esau, that he's a travel man. He was in the Babylonian kingdom. He was in Egypt. He was in the Greek kingdom. Matter of fact, Alexandria and Philip and Zephno is Edomites. So what they did was they able to relocate. So to fast forward the conversation, they ended up conquering Britain. Then Britain, they relocated from Rome, and they ended up in Britain. Britain ruled the world. The pound was the currency of the world. Then what happened? They left from there and ended up over in America. America was the 4th beast. And then what happened? All these corporations back in the early 70s, late 70s, all of them left. Caterpillar, all the companies that made America great, and all those industries, car companies that was down in Detroit and all that went to China.
Yeah.
Now China is the brainchild behind all this relocating is these international bankers, and so they transforming. They got a blueprint, and they just take that blueprint and take it somewhere else. Before, when they see where they at is waning, they relocate. So America was great. We see America we looking at America falling, but they already prepared. They already went to China. These Illuminati bankers hiding behind these different nationalities of people, but they're the ones controlling them. So now they've sent all their wealth and all these corporations to China, and now we see China then emerge as a superpower. And so the transformation is happening in front of our eyes, but we're not understanding what's going on. So I'm gonna break that down. You know, I'm gonna show you how all this tied to what I just showed you. So, like I said, so this China, what you witnessing, the 10th and final incarnation of this 4th beast is China. And so like I said, we're looking at it transform in front of itself. And this is why the Most High in Obadiah tells us, and he addressed the wise men of Edom, because these wise men of Edom is these same Illuminati bankers that's been they didn't absorbed all the wealth of the world. They didn't sucked it into their storehouses and all the knowledge. They got all the knowledge, and they hid all the books and burned all the rest of them. So they sitting there with all the money and all the knowledge, and they're able to transform this beast and move it around geographically where they want it. And so I'm going to show you how you spot them is you go and find out where all the construction going on is. That's how they operate. So they and how they amassed all the money was through these world wars, like World War I and II. when they brought Hitler on the scene, caused all this destruction, and then they come back and do the renovations. They did it with Napoleon, and then what we're witnessing right now, they done brought this coronavirus on the scene. So why? This coronavirus is what they're using to bring America to its knees. Because, and at the same time, make this place a desirable place for the Israelites for us to leave. And I just showed you where they already to start leaving. They already migrating out of here. They relocating. So let's look at it. So what's the major agent behind it? What's going on? So let's look at it. Let me set this video up. It's called oh Lord. Hold up. Okay. So they're setting up this over in, if you know anything about Marco Polo and the old Silk Road, back in the days, what made the Asia and Europe and all they connected, and that's where all the wealth was at the time. Well, so-called wealth is not compared to the wealth today. So what these people doing, which we know is higher powers involved in it too, they recreating this old Silk Road, and they calling it the Road and Belt Initiative, and it's going on in Africa. That's why they can project that the 85% of the world population is going to be in Africa by 2030. So with that being said, we're going to check this out.
Most influential economic development project in recent history. It will be an investment of trillions of dollars, connecting dozens of nations with roads, rail lines, shipping routes, and most importantly, trade deals. But for all of the impressive figures, there is an equally concerned...
This right here is the source of all the drama that's going on, because they're trying to relocate. They're trying to get, they're greedy. These wise men are very, very greedy. They're not content with what they got. So this the final incarnation of this fourth beast is already being manifested right here. We're looking at it.
Concerning list of problems, centered around the nation that looks to be the ringmaster of this whole project. China is a target of controversy at the best of times, and sometimes this is deserved. Sometimes it's not, but when a nation like this turns around and starts setting up channels of direct influence over nations making up 70% of the world's population, it rightfully raises a few eyebrows. Now, as much as possible, we are not here to wear tinfoil hats and postulate over radical conspiracy theories of world domination, as fun as that can be, but perhaps the best way to clear all of this up is to look at the economics of this whole economic development. Logic would dictate that if this whole project provides genuine economic benefit to its participants, then there may not be any ulterior motives besides just making the participants in the scheme wealthier, which, you know what, is more than fair. It's like my boy Fiddy said. Nobody would have any problems with the United States, for example, setting up infrastructure in neighbouring nations to strengthen economic development, but maybe that's just because they are better at PR rather than genuinely having a more altruistic development plan than a nation like China with its Belt and Road Initiative. The same is also true on the other side, though. If it does turn out that this whole project is unlikely to deliver any tangible economic benefit, then one could reasonably assume that there is some other, more nefarious reason that China is spending trillions of dollars building this web of roads. So for the sake of drawing conclusions, we need to answer a few questions. What will the Belt and Road Initiative do? Will this provide an economic benefit to China? Will this provide an economic benefit to the other nations involved? And ultimately, is there a cheaper, less direct approach to achieve the same results? This is an Economics Explained video. If you enjoy these videos, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out. But with that out of the way, let's get started with truly understanding the Belt and Road Initiative. The Belt and Road Initiative is a major infrastructure-based geopolitical and economic development that plans to directly link upwards of 100 nations together by building road and rail and water connections that span as far as Central Europe and link directly with major economic centres in China. A majority of this development is centered around establishing these physical trade route connections that otherwise did not exist and were not conducive to mass transportation on the scale the nations plan to trade at. The construction of world-class highways, railroads, and ports will be able to accommodate bigger trucks and trains and ships, meaning that the extended region that already had relatively strong ties will be able to move just that little bit closer, metaphorically at least. Free trade is great news to most global economists because it means that countries can focus on what it is that they do best to produce more wealth overall for the global economy. China's outstanding growth in recent decades has been centrally fueled by this same type of international trade. We have seen time and time again in our videos that by embracing their huge productive capacity, they have made themselves the workshop of the world. The Belt and Road Initiative furthers their ability to prosper off their ability to add value through intense industry. But sometimes these sorts of things don't actually work out in reality. The idealistic notion of economic theories like comparative advantage often miss nuances that make the difference between economic success stories and nationwide disasters. China is, by some estimates, investing over $8 trillion into this scheme over the course of 2 decades or so. So, if this whole system really is a prudent investment, we better start seeing some pretty awesome returns for the country that's forking out for most of this shiny new infrastructure. A good majority of the nations that...
So when you listen to his dialogue and his delivery, he's talking like a banker. That's because the people behind this is bankers. These Illuminati, Edomite bankers
that have been brought into the project are developing or underdeveloped nations. So it's not like China is building a backdoor into huge consumer markets to sell their own products to. Instead, it's actually the opposite. For the most part, China actually plans to be a net importer amongst the nations in the scheme, with a primary focus on fossil fuels. Today, China is the largest importer of fossil fuels, iron ore, aluminium, and a host of other materials that keep its massive industry chugging along. Getting access to these resources has actually been a major bottleneck to the nation's development, simply because there is only so much the nation can naturally ingest without massively destabilizing these commodity markets. Historically, the source for cheap natural resources has been nations like Australia, Canada, and Brazil, which are obviously home to a lot of natural resources, but more importantly, they are also home to decent infrastructure, which means that they are able to efficiently and cost-effectively load lots and lots of coal and steel and whatever else onto big ships to get them across to China. Now, especially in recent years, China has shown some interest in decoupling themselves from reliance of these imports, which is not to say that they would cut them off entirely, but they do want other options. A lot of the developing nations that fall into the Belt and Road Initiative have huge reserves of these natural resources, but are just not economically viable to do business with because they lack the critical mass of infrastructure to make these natural resource exports competitive next to more established resource nations. By channeling money into port infrastructure, railroads, pipelines, and all of that good stuff, China will be effectively giving these nations the economies of scale they need to export resources just as effectively as these other wealthier nations. If anything, they may be able to undercut the more developed nations because the cost of doing business in these countries is just naturally lower. So in fairness, this will be kind of bad for those resource-rich nations that currently control these markets, but at least for the nations involved in the Belt and Road project, this kind of sounds like a win-win, right? Well, yeah. If this is how everything plays out, it will drag these nations up to realize their productive potential while simultaneously serving as a great source of natural resources for China. It may sound like China is taking advantage of these nations to just harvest them for their natural treasures. That's not really fair. Wealthy developed countries buy natural resources of poorer nations all the time, and normally it's a pretty beneficial arrangement for both parties. So long as it's not done through the freedom treatment, it's normally a win-win. Even beyond expanding its natural resource pool, China has outlined very publicly some key economic objectives of the plan that cover everything from developing new markets for them to sell their goods to, building the skills base of scientific research and development in the region, and even objectives such as spreading the prevalence of traditional Chinese medicine. Okay, so Not great if you are some kind of endangered animal, but otherwise, there is no real alarm bells ringing here. It looks as if the idea that there is some evil subplot involved in this scheme is probably not as likely as a nation simply pursuing the most honourable of pastimes, which is just making fat stacks. Objective about this, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Does China and the state-owned banks that finance these projects want borrowers to default on their debts? Same as last week, the most logical answer to this question gets featured in next week's video. Aside from that, the genuine benefit may just come from these nations getting that opportunity. Sure, if China does need to foreclose on some of these debts, it's going to make headlines and it's going to make a lot of people very angry. But these examples might be few and far between, meaning that the benefits of these poor nations outweigh the risks of taking on some of these debts, especially when you consider that by doing so, you get an inbuilt customer. If a regular nation was building a shipping port, it would run the risk of effectively not having anybody that wanted to use that port, meaning that it was going to be a pretty terrible investment. By signing up to the Belt and Road Initiative, you will know that you are going to be top of the list when it comes to filling Chinese tankers up with sweet, sweet natural resources, which is really a leg up that can't be ignored. So, as a whole, are these measures financially beneficial for the participant nations? Well, yes, probably. They are risky and by no means guarantee success, but let's be completely honest here. China is a ruthless economic force. But if a nation can properly embrace this project, it's likely that they will receive genuine prosperity from it, even if this prosperity is under the thumb of a central authority like China.
Yeah, all these little red dots you're seeing on here, but they're showing you are smart cities that they're building all over the place. Like I showed you in the beginning, Echo and Nantes, all this is connecting all this together. And that's why you see why all this building going on over there, we see destruction happening over here. Because this, like I said, this fourth and final incarnation that Daniel told you about is transforming itself right in front of our face. But he's doing that old trick with the left and the right hand. He got a shiny object over here in his right hand, and he doing what he's gonna do over here in the left hand.
China. So I guess we can give our checklist a tick here too, even if it's a slightly smaller one. Which leads us on to the final piece of the puzzle. Is there a cheaper way to achieve the same result? Now, as far as profitable trade deals go, the trillions upon trillions of dollars that the Belt and Road Initiative is set to cost is on the more expensive side of things. An argument could be made that if China could achieve the same results by just setting up regular trade agreements, this would be a lot more financially beneficial for them, raising the question, why go out of your way to spend all of this money? Sure, there is lifting up nations to access cheaper resources, which does sound like a logical objective, but the slightest bit of scrutiny will show that the trillions of dollars they are investing into this initiative would buy a lot of coal, even if it is at slightly higher prices from slightly less friendly trading partners. The reality is, as always, a nice blend of both extremes of the argument. Will China make money off this deal? Yes. Will other participants become wealthier off this deal? Most likely, yes. So there is a good old-fashioned profit motive here, but perhaps this is all secondary to the influence it will give the nation. The United States has been the default economy of the world for a very, very long time. People almost universally recognize things like US dollars as a currency just as useful, if not more useful, than their own home currency. And this whole arrangement has had some significant economic benefits for the nation. It means that the USA can run massive deficits with no real issue. It means that they can extend corporate influence easily. And it means that other nations are happy to do business with it because it gives them access to those sweet, sweet US dollars. If China can successfully roll out the Belt and Road Initiative, it will sit at the center of the largest economic network in the world, which might mean that the status of the world's de facto economy will shift away from the United States the same way it shifted away from the United Kingdom last century. The nation...
I just said that Britain was the eighth incarnation of the four beasts. America was the ninth. We witnessing the 10th right here. They got a blueprint. All they do is take that blueprint and relocate it to another geographical location.
may claim that they are happy to be number 2, but of course they would say that. The Belt and Road Initiative will potentially be the most influential economic development of this century, in line with the Industrial Revolution of the 1800s and central banking in the 1900s. Any type of plan on this scale involving this much money and this many powerful people is bound to attract some level of criticism. If you add in the fact that a nation like China sits at the center of all of this, then tinfoil hats get turned up to 11. But in reality, it looks like this is purely a profit-driven agenda. Sure, they are going to extend their influence across a cobweb of nations, but that's all in an attempt to generate massive wealth for their own nation. They are not necessarily guilty of any kind of evil subplot here. They're just guilty of very directly wanting to be the de facto economic power in the region, which, you know what, will rustle some feathers. There are certainly nations that I would prefer to be wielding that kind of power instead, the United States included, but it's not like they are trying to hide it, and it doesn't look like we can stop them. Hi guys, thanks for...
Okay, so any comments? We just about to close. Any comments? Okay. Yeah, with that being said, I want to show you this right quick, and then I'm going to close out. Yeah, so right behind me, this is the road and building initiative right here. See right here? We just got through listening to this is it. So I just showed you when the video first started. They go Echo Atlantis right there. The city I showed you, they building all up. It's going to be like New York, the World Trade Center. There it is right there. And they go West House. So that's why the big push is going to get us. They got us in a trick bag saying that we African diaspora, but they know we Israelites. Just like they knew we Israelites when they went to the West Coast and got us, because they need us. Because Most High says that wherever we at, He's gonna bless that place because of who we are. So they need us there. So they've taken us back, like He said in Jeremiah 29 and 14. He's gonna return us back from the place from which we came. So we're going right back here. Back over here to the West Coast of Africa. They need us over here to build all this up, right? Because of what they got going on right here. This is just part of it. We go to the other part. This is the European part of it. See that? That's the European part. All that's tied over here. They go this Africa over here. It's all tied right here. This is the 10th beast. 10th and final beast right here. China, these Illuminati bankers tied into China, and China is their code. They always in the background hiding, just like with the transatlantic slave trade. They was the one buying all the ships, but they had other people's names on the ships, like the owners. But these Illuminati bankers, Edomites, wise men out of Teman, was buying all the ships. They owned all the plantations, so they didn't want setting this up. And so in order for to make this work, they gotta do a slow demo job on America. And that's what you're witnessing. They bringing all this drama you see coming over in America, all the chaos. They behind it because this their baby right here. It's coming. It's all, and I showed you through all the videos and through all the construction work how it's being manifested right in front of our face. They in the final stages of it. And so with that being said, He also told us that these minor prophets, they got you thinking that these minor prophets are just minor prophets out of the Bible, but it's a significance to the minor prophets. All these minor prophets came out of Babylon with Zerubbabel and Josiah, the high priest and the king that the Most High raised up. I just read to you in Haggai. They came out with him, so all these minor prophets talking to us. And so when you start reading these minor prophets, they all talking about this fourth beast, and they're identifying this fourth beast as Edom, Esau. So let me give you a couple examples. Malachi, the last book of the Old Testament, uh, chapter 1, verse 1. The burden of the word of the Lord of Israel to Malachi. I have loved ye, said the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Said the Lord. Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and I laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So right there, you see, all of a sudden, out the blue, Esau coming up, and you got to ask the question: why would he come up all of a sudden? About in the Malachi, the last book of the Old Testament, because all these men came out of Babylon, with Zerubbabel, and then right after that, the Greeks came, and Israel as a nation came to an end during the Greek kingdom, not in 70 A.D. when Antiochus Epiphanes came. He destroyed the Israelites. Daniel tell you that in Daniel 9:25, 26, and 27. And so when they came out, all these men right here, like he said, he's sending them, rising early and sending them. And they telling us about Esau. Esau, the four beasts. Japhet and Esau merged together and became Edom. And so that's the four beasts. And that's what all these minor prophets are telling you when you go back and you start reading their books. Let me go to one more. Obadiah. And it says, I'm starting reading over, that's only one chapter. The vision of Obadiah. Thus says the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, an ambassador sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. That's these Illuminati bankers. And all the rest of those Edomites over there, those Israelis over there, those are converts from Japhet. But those Illuminati bankers, the Rothschilds and all them, those are the full-blooded Edomites. It ain't that many of them. So he says, 3, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee. Thou that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in thy heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? That's what your charge should be right there, to find out where Esau it, what's up with him, and track him, because that's what these minor prophets telling you. But they didn't lay another scenario on you about we got the major prophets, Jeremiah and Isaiah and Ezekiel and all them, and then you got the minor prophets. But that's not the significance of these minor prophets. You got to, when you go back and look at it, like I said, they came out of Babylon with Zerubbabel and Joshua, and they rebuilt this Zerubbabel temple, and then and Zechariah and Haggai was standing there prophesying while they was rebuilding that temple, and then Haggai and Zechariah, Obadiah, and Micah and all them is telling us about they being informed by these angels that what's going to happen to Israel in the latter days, and who was going to be behind it. And that's why they're telling you that. But because they set the narrative for you, you don't see that. And they brought in the New Testament, and it's going over everybody's head. So with that being said, I'm gonna play this little song. It's I hope it helps somebody. It's Sounds of Zion. Let me play it. Let me close out.
We bow down and worship you. We glorify your holy name. We praise your holy name today. Today, we bow down and worship you. We glorify your holy name. We praise your holy name today. We bow down and worship you. We glorify your name. We praise your holy name today. Today, said we bow down and worship you, oh yeah. We bow down and worship you. We glorify your name. We glorify your holy name. We praise your holy name today. Blessed be the name of Yah. We praise you today. Hallelujah. We praise you today. In all the heavens, all the earth. So I'm gonna say shalom. Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. Okay.
Shalom. I'm gonna see y'all at 6 o'clock tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed this broadcast. Shalom.